over a decade of forged grades, this has become the state of competitive college athletics. The shenanigans of players and coaches, both on and off the field, has been justified by what the athletics department can do for a university. Some claim that athletics creates better performing students. Others claim that it benefits a large number of students. But the main reason used to justify the spectacle that is college sports, the money. Everyone claims that it brings in huge amounts, but I'm here to tell you that it's all wrong. I became interested in the relationship between colleges and athletics when I was on an academic scholarship at another university. And as students, I think you all want to be aware of what your tuition is actually going towards. And in a lot of your survey responses, you said that you felt that the athletes got preferential treatment because of what sports do. But by looking at the legal and academic scandals as well as the financials, we can see that the system is broken. It's time that colleges look at cutting their ties with athletics. First, we'll talk about the legal scandals. Did you know that student athletes show a lower moral reasoning than other students? This is the ability to tell the basic difference between what is right and what is wrong. In Luke Cypher's article, A Different World, How One Small College is Quitting Sports, on SB Nation last year, it cited 30 years of research completed by the University of Idaho that shows exactly this. This presents it in different ways. For example, at University of Miami, a donor was recently ousted for, he threw parties on his yacht for the football team. These parties included lots of drugs, alcohol, underage drinking, and even prostitutes. Steve Campbell from the New York Times published an article called College Football's Ugly Season that went into details on this. And most shocking of this is that the NCAA asked prosecutors to go easy on the donor because they wanted him to work with them to help setting up regulations, and they thought it would look bad to hire someone with a felony record because he'd gotten arrested for a Ponzi scheme. And USA Today had an article called The Most Significant College Sports Scandals that came out last year, and it went over several, two major ones. At the University of Virginia, a lacrosse player named George Hughley was convicted of murdering another lacrosse player on the female team in 2010. In Colorado, in 2004, the football team used alcohol to lure high school students to join their team. There was also accusations of rampant sex assault, which included one of their own players, Katie Nita. She was a kicker on the team in 2004, and she claimed that she was raped. These sorts of things, especially the alcohol, seems to pop up at many colleges and back through the years. It's not a recent thing, it's been going on for a long time, but more recently we're hearing more about it. Now, moving on to the academic scandals. Just a couple weeks ago, CNN published an article on October 25th called UNC Athletics Report Finds 18 Years of Academic Fraud to Keep Athletes Playing. The University of North Carolina's own research has determined that 3,100 of their student athletes were funneled into what they call paper classes, in which they wrote a paper, didn't have to really be a good paper, didn't have to be more than a few words, but they were given grades based on what academic advisors told the instructor they needed to keep playing. KU also had an academic scandal of its own. In 2006, according to Inside Higher Ed, Doug Lederman published an article called NCAA Cracks Down on Kansas. They discovered that a graduate assistant had been giving test answers to football players so they could pass their tests. The NCAA levied charges including lack of institutional control, which is the worst charge that the NCAA can give to a school. throughout all this, with their additional tutoring that they are offered that is available to student athletes that is not available to regular students, the students are still performing worse than non-athletes. The biggest difference is between male non-athletes and the recruited ones. Female students do tend to perform better overall, but there is still a difference between recruited female athletes and non-athlete students. Finally, the biggest reason people support college sports and think it's a good reason for universities is because of the amount of money it brings in. Most people assume that it's a cash cow. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. According to Cypher's article from SB Nation, out of 227 Division I schools in the year 2011, there was only 22 of those schools that saw a profit from their athletics. With all this money that they're spending in, you would think that they were benefiting a lot of students. Only 2% of students nationally compete in the college athletics competitively. Also at the University of Tennessee, from the same article, they currently are operating with over $200 million in debt. Tennessee's known for their football. The games are huge, but they're still not bringing in the money to support what they're spending on it. And here at KU, according to our athletics department on the website, the 2012-2013 academic year saw an $8 million loss on sports. We spend $80 million a year on just athletics. It brought in $72 million, but we still lost $8 million. Just think of how much more that's going to be now that we have to pay for Charlie Weiss for his nice little firing bonus and the cost of hiring another coach. Just think how much you spend on tuition. I think $8 million spread about the campus, what that could do to lower tuition costs. In conclusion, commonly held beliefs about college athletics are disproven once we look at the facts. Student athletes perform worse than other students academically. A very small percentage of students participate in athletics at all. The athletic departments of most universities are bleeding money. Scandals are tarnishing universities' reputations. It's time for academics to cut its ties to the athletics department.